Oh, it's getting chilly. Hello guys, I am really cold today. I think just suddenly autumn has hit and I am freezing, and I have this amazing cardigan from New Look and oh my god, it is the most cozy, lovely thing ever. I've been wearing it literally like every single day since I got it and I love it, and it was only like £15 or something. Bargain, and I love it. Today I have a book haul because I've done a couple of book kind of themed videos and you guys seem to really like them, and a lot of you have said that you'd like to see more book videos, and so I'm just giving the people what they want and doing another book video. I love watching on YouTube people talking about books, whether it's books they've read or books they bought or books, anything to do with books. I feel like it's really relaxing and I just really love reading, and I feel like most people would oh god, I just choked on nothing. Oh, I need some water. Well, excuse me, that was a hullabaloo over nothing. You know when you just swallow and it goes down the wrong way and so you just are choking on thin air. You're choking on absolutely nothing. Anyway, as I was saying, I really like watching people talk about books on YouTube. I find it really relaxing, and it's also cool to see somebody talk about something that they're so passionate about and they just get really like passionate, and I just think that's cool. And I have bought a fair amount of books. This isn't just been over September, it's been over August as well, so don't think that this is completely obscene. I think I've got about 15 books, which is probably quite a lot for just a couple of months of buying. And I have put myself on a bit of a book ban since buying all these because I buy more than I read and it's just not a good idea. But anyway, I'm going to get on with the books and I will show you what I have bought. Firstly, we have Lyrebird by Cecilia Ahern, and I read one of her books recently. What was it that I read? I read The Year I Met You recently and I really liked that book, and so I decided to buy this one. The side of it is also gold and it's really pretty, and so I couldn't help myself but buy it. Next we have History Is All You Left Me. I'm actually not the biggest, usually I'm not the biggest person into like young adult fiction kind of stuff. It's just not really my thing, but I've been really trying to seek out these kind of things that feature people with mental health illnesses. One of the main characters in this book has OCD, quite severely I think, and so I thought that'd be really interesting because I'm always on the search for people, for book recommendations with main characters that have mental health, mainly so I can learn more, so I can recommend to you guys, and just for myself because obviously I suffer with mental health and it's nice to read main characters that have that kind of thing as well. Next I have The Girls. I have heard a lot of people read this. My friend actually read this book and she absolutely loved it, and so I'm really excited to read it. So I'll read you the blurb because it sounds crazy. Evie Boyd is 14 and desperate to be noticed. It's the summer of 1969 and restless, empty days stretch ahead of her until she sees them, the girls. Hair long and uncombed, jewellery catching the sun, and at the centre Suzanne, black-haired and beautiful. If not for Suzanne, she might not have gone, but intoxicated by her and the life she promises, Evie followed the girls back to the decaying ranch where they lived. That doesn't sound, I don't think that like does what's inside justice, because from what I've heard there's a lot of stuff that goes on and it's pretty crazy and quite a at places difficult read, I've heard, and so that will be interesting. Next we have When Breath Becomes Air, because I've seen so many people talk about this, and also this month I discovered Book Depository and oh my god, what? It's so cheap. You get so many books for so cheap, and I'm not being sponsored to say that because I've not been asked to get sponsored to say that, although I would obviously love to do that. A lot of booktubers do get sponsored, or they get I think a small commission of when people buy books if they go through a link or whatever, I don't know, but I did, and goodness, there's a lot of cheap books, and this is one of the books I got and it was really cheap, so I decided to buy it. I might be wrong because I've obviously never read any of these books, but I believe it's about a surgeon who gets lung cancer, and so it's kind of like from the story of somebody that's treating all these things all the time to being a patient and the different sides. that's what I believe it is about, and it just sounded quite interesting, and I've seen so many people talk about it. Like, it wouldn't usually be the kind of book that I would pick up straight away, but because I've heard so many people talk about it, I thought I have to buy it. Next, I got a book called The Empathy Instinct. The reason I got this is because I'm studying counselling right now, and empathy is a massive, massive part of things we've been learning about, and it's just a massive part of everything, really, to do with counselling, and so I thought this would be a really good book to read. And it looks really interesting. Next, I got 50 Ideas You Really Need to Know Psychology. Again, I'm studying counselling, and so this sounds like a good book. It was also 3 for 2 in Blackwell's. Is Blackwell's a chain store? I don't know. There's one in Edinburgh, and it is my favourite bookshop. It's so lovely. There's so many books, so many books. It's like 3 floors full of books. Yeah, I thought this looked really interesting. There's loads of stuff in this, so I thought I'll get that. It's on 3 for 2. Next, I got A Day in the Life of the Brain. I thought this looked really interesting. I read the first couple of pages and it just looked great. So it's just going through the day and just describing what the brain sees, what the brain experiences, and why the brain experiences that kind of thing. What happens in our brains when we wake up, savour a meal or a glass of wine, walk the dog, stare at a screen, daydream or sleep. World-renowned neuroscientist Susan Greenfeld draws on her own pioneering research to illuminate the mystery of consciousness and how our brains make us who we are. I thought that sounded really interesting. Again, studying counselling, so I thought that would be good. Next, I got Sapiens, A Brief History of Humankind. This is a big boy. This is a big boy book. It's basically how did our species succeed in the battle of dominance? Why did our foraging ancestors come together to create cities and kingdoms? It's just basically going back in time and looking at all the things and all the people things, and I thought that sounded really interesting because obviously I am very, very interested in humankind. I find us fascinating, and although I think it's going to take me a while to get through because it's small print and it's like 500 pages, I thought, yeah, at least it's nice to think about reading. It's nice to think about reading. Next, I have a book that I bought in August, which I've already read and I found really great. It's called All the Good Things, and it's about a woman who is in prison. I don't know how much I can say. Is there a blurb? Yeah, okay. 21-year-old Beth is in prison. The thing she did is so bad, she doesn't deserve ever to feel good again. But her counsellor, Erica, won't give up on her. She asks Beth to make a list of all the good things in her life, so Beth starts to write down her story, from sharing silences with foster dad number 1, to flirting in Odeon on Orange Wednesdays, to the very first time she sniffed her baby's head. But at the end of the story, Beth must confront the bad thing. So it's all about this bad thing that Beth has done, and obviously you don't find out straight away, and there's just lots of, you just really, really just get so invested in Beth and everything she goes through, and you really just go with her, and I think it's written so well. I really enjoyed this book. I think Claire Fisher is a great writer, and so I'll need to pick up anything else she's got, but yeah, this is a great book. I'm going to check the time because I need to go to work at some point today. I have no idea what time it is. Next book we have that I am almost finished is Highly Illogical Behaviour. This is really interesting to me because I suffer with agoraphobia, and the main character also suffers with agoraphobia, and it's about 3 kids that are like 17, 18 that all become friends. They've all got different things going on in their life. The main character, Solomon, has agoraphobia, which means he has a fear of leaving his house, and so he doesn't leave his house at all and hasn't done in like 3 years. I won't say too much because I don't want to spoil it, but I really, really am enjoying this book. I've only got about 30 pages left, and I think that they did really well to like talk about agoraphobia, talk about what it's like living with agoraphobia, although some parts were maybe romanticised slightly, or there's some parts that I was like, would that really happen? And yeah, there's some parts I do find a bit unrealistic, but for the most part I thought they did so well. I thought it was, yeah, I think it's a really, really good book, and if you're somebody that suffers with agoraphobia, I think it's a really good book to read. Next we have Stum. I picked this up because I recently read Dibs in Search of Self, and I don't think this is like quite the same thing, but it is about a 10-year-old who lives in a world of his own. He likes colours and feathers and the feel of fresh air in his skin. He dislikes sudden loud noises and any change to his daily routine. Jonah has never spoken, yet somehow he communicates better than all of the adults in his life. I thought that sounded really like heartwarming, and sad, and just something that I'm really interested in. I think the main character, the boy, has autism, and that's something I am interested in maybe going into a career, helping people with autism, or I'm interested in that kind of thing, and so thought that sounded pretty good. The next book I got, one of you recommended to me. I can't remember who it was that recommended this. And it's Am I Normal Yet by Holly Bourne. The person who recommended it to me said, I know you don't usually like YA, but this is a really good book. And it's about, I think the girl has anxiety. All Evie wants is to be normal, and now that she's almost off her meds at a new college where no one knows her as the girl who went nuts, there's only one thing left to tick off her list, which is a boyfriend. I thought this sounded good. I'm not usually mad into YA, like I said, but one of the reviews said, an in-looking look at feminism, friendship and the secrets we hide. So I thought that sounded pretty good, and one of you recommended it to me, so it's your fault if I don't like it. But I'm pretty sure I will, it does sound pretty good. The next I got Truly Madly Guilty. We've actually discussed this book, or the film of this, in my college class, I believe. It was something like this. That's why I picked it up anyway, and also I do tend to judge books by its cover, and I thought this looked cool. This is a story which begins with a barbecue. By the end of it, a lifelong friendship will be in tatters, a marriage on the rocks, and an innocent bystander dead. In just one evening, 6 lives will change forever. So I don't know if this takes place over the course of one evening, because that would be pretty lengthy. I think it's like 300, 400 pages. Almost 500 pages, so that would be pretty lengthy. But it sounded really interesting, and I thought, why not? I'm pretty sure it was on 2 for 1 as well, so I got that one. The last 2 books I got is May We Be Forgiven by A.M. Holmes. I read her other book years ago, which is This Book Will Save Your Life, and I really enjoyed it. It was like the first book like that I'd ever read, and I was like, oh my god, this is really great. And so I thought I'd pick this one up. It sounds interesting. Harry has always envied his younger brother George, a high-flying TV executive with 2 kids, a beautiful home and a covetable wife. But Harry knows that George is a dangerous man with a murderous temper. When an adulterous kiss at Thanksgiving prompts a chain of unexpected events, George finally loses control, and the result is an act so shocking that the brothers are hurled into entirely new lives, ones in which they must both seek absolution. It's also won Women's Prize for Fiction 2013, and actually I do always listen to these kind of things, like the Costa Book Awards, these kind of awards. I feel like they always know what they're talking about. So I found this and I thought, I'm going to read that book. The last book I got is Lolita. I don't really need to do much explaining for this, but I've never read Lolita. This is a really nice edition as well. It's like really quite small. And when I was getting this in the queue, the woman was like, that's a really funny read. And I was like, I've never heard anybody talk about Lolita as being funny, but for any of you that don't know, I will read the blurb. Humbert is a middle-aged college professor. He also likes little girls, and none more so than Lolita, whom he'll do anything to possess. Is he in love or insane? A silver-tongued poet or a pervert? A tortured soul or a monster? Or is he all of these things? Sounds pretty dark, but I do like dark reads, and I've never read Lolita, and it's Lolita, and so I thought, I'll give it a go. Anyway, so that's all the books that I bought in the past couple of months. I'm worried this video is very, very long. This is my first kind of video like this, and there was a lot of books. So thank you very much for watching if you've made it this far, and I will see you soon. Bye!